Welcome to Action in Business. In these times, one thing that makes the most sense right here, right now, is to secure the future of your business. Let's take action now. Here's your action coach, Jana Hoiberg.
Welcome and thank you for tuning in to this edition of Action in Business with your host, Action Coach Action Jana Hoiberg, right here on News Talk 1460 KZNT Radio, where what you'll gain doesn't come from theory. It always comes from real life experience. I am your banana peel totin' co-host, Ted Robertson. Now, we talked about banana peels this morning, Jenna. I think we ought to just run through that one again because in my world, there are banana peels, and in yours, there are not.
That's right. I don't do bananas, so I don't do banana peels. That just makes that... solves that problem,
well,
Ted.
I came screaming into the studio today talking to you about the banana that sparked something in me this morning, and I'm thinking if you're the member of a team, you must not leave banana peels around. You got to clean up your stuff, or your teammates will slip.
That's right, and that's why I don't have banana peels. I don't have to worry about it.
Okay, so as long as you do your business on behalf of your team, nobody's going to slip on a mess that you've left behind. That's the metaphor. Jana, lots of fun to be had. We're doing a 4-part series on the fine art and delicate balance of negotiation, another of the many subjects that you always bring up that are so near and dear to my heart. But before we get there, how did we do on our previous installment?
Well, we were talking with Matt Barrett, who is the executive director of the Small Business Development Center. And Matt was just fun to have on the show and to just hear what's going on and the many successes they have and continue to have at the SBDC. And I just really recommend if anybody's starting out in a business and they just want some basic elementary stuff to hit, go call, have a visit with them, and you might get a counselor by the name of Jana Hoiberg while you're there as well.
That would be awesome. And we're talking, when we say SBDC, the Small Business Development Center.
Right.
They live on the UCCS campus, and Matt Barrett is one of those national treasures when it comes to being a resource for startup small businesses or small businesses who are struggling some way, somehow. So we really do urge you to visit with Matt. And can I just make a quick announcement?
Sure.
Matt Barrett is going to join forces with News Talk 1460 KZNT. And Jana, with your support and with support of a new show coming on May 1st, we'll keep that one under wraps for the moment. We're going to be doing a block of business-based programming. The SBDC is going to be supporting that, and Matt Barrett will be here in spirit and in voice doing vignettes. So the SBDC through Matt Barrett will be doing little tips on how to make your business life bloom.
And that's why it's just so exciting to be able to team up with him and be able to do this as well. And I think the listeners are really going to like to hear the things that Matt has to say. And it'll be a fun time, as we always have on the show.
So we've got great stuff coming up today.
Right.
And as I say, a 4-part series, the art and delicate balance of negotiation and dispute resolution. Jana, who have we got in the studio with us today?
We have a friend of mine by the name of Dan McKenzie. He's actually not a local. He's from the eastern part of the world called North Carolina, and that's even south as well. But I don't think he has too much of that southern accent. But Dan McKenzie is trained on this. And Dan, why don't you say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself and what on earth got you into this whole thing?
Well, good morning to everybody. I wanted to make sure that I wished both of you a good morning. I am pleased to be here. And yes, North Carolina, it's a beautiful state. I'm actually a native of Southern California, so it's nice to have perspectives from both coasts. It's interesting. I've been involved in the international marketplace now for about the last 15 or 16 years, and one of the things that prompted me to really start to train very hard in the negotiation process was having now worked in 17 different countries and run into all sorts of different cultures, all who operate differently, all operating differently under different rules, different set of circumstances. It became very critical for my particular professional development to make sure that I had a very good handle on what was going on. Oftentimes, where I would be in positions where I wasn't speaking the particular language of the country and really understood like a piece of lumber across the head that was a critical part of what I was going to need to be successful going forward. Not only my professional career, but it also is tremendously valuable from a personal point. We negotiate every day, all the time, whether you're buying a lemon in a grocery store or whether you're trying to negotiate the rate on a flat tire that you got to fix. Everyone has to do it, and there are particular skills that will help people arrive at some good substantive outcomes.
And you talk about 17 countries, but even within the U.S., you can be in the Northeast or the South or the Midwest or Northern California or Southern California, and you have very different styles, ways of looking at things, and approaches as well.
Exactly, and this, it really, geography is really irrelevant. It's generally there are no magic bullets for it. It just a lot of common sense, and what happens as human beings, especially when we get put into positions where we are put either under moderate or extreme pressure to do some things, our thinking process slows down and we tend to forget things that we're trained to do on a normal basis, and that leads to non-optimal outcomes a lot of times. So the information we're discussing is directly related to helping skill build and give people some tools that they'll be able to use.
That's great. Well, before we get into the main part of the show, if you have thoughts, comments, or observations, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at any time at 358-6936. That's 358-6936. Or by email at Jana Hoiberg at actioncoach.com. That's Jana, Janna, Hoiberg, Hoiberg at actioncoach.com. And you want more information about Action Coach and my upcoming events, you can visit me on the web at actioncoachcoloradosprings.com. That's actioncoachcoloradosprings.com. Or our favorite fan page that we love to be able to post to, and that is Action in Business with Jana Hoiberg. You can become a fan of the show. You'll get free access to the show archives and all the latest action in business information and updates. So, Dan, as we get started on this, tell me a little bit about negotiation styles and give us a little background on the whole aspect of negotiation, because I'm not sure that all the listeners really have a complete understanding of that.
Well, I think to give people some good sound bites that they can remember, it's really important to understand that from A to Z in negotiation, it can really be broken down into 4 parts. Understanding your landscape, understanding the topography in that landscape, understanding what the fortifications are in your way that are guarding that particular flag. Those are 4 things that are specific to understanding how you want to design an outcome. There are, and each one of those could be separately discussed. One of the things that we do and the mistakes that we make when we communicate is we really don't oftentimes have an early understanding of what our geography is when we're negotiating. We might just get in and have a discussion, whether you're talking to a business partner or your wife or husband or girlfriend or boyfriend. We often go into a discussion not having prepared well enough, and therefore we get caught off guard routinely for things that we should otherwise be prepared for. So the landscape, topography, fortification, and flag is a critical point to remember.
Oh, interesting. So how do you really get to know and understand this stuff so that you can really apply it? Is this something you really have to go to school on, or how do you get used to it enough that you can really start applying it in your business or at home?
Well, I would be the first to tell you, despite many who have told me to the contrary, that you are not born a good negotiator, and those are the people I love to deal with the most. I have gone specifically to school and was privileged to attend Harvard through their law school in a special program designed specifically to go over and dive very, very deeply into the process, both psychologically, from a behavioral science point of view, from the techniques, tactics, everything. And having done what I've done in my particular career, I started my public speaking and communication career long, long ago. And for me to be able to have the kind of successes that I wanted, I had to have a complete command over my audiences. I had to be able to understand the difference between how to get things that I needed using persuasion versus coercion. And those two things are completely diametrically opposed to one another with regards to outcome. I highly, and Jana, just to answer your question, I highly recommend that if people are looking at just improving their skill sets in this area, which again have a cross-platform application, that they look at their local opportunities either through the community colleges or the colleges or professional organizations that are offering these kinds of, could be even a 2-day workshop that somebody's holding. It's very, very valuable. Right,
and that's why we had so much fun at the workshop that we ran a while back on negotiations, and it was just great seeing how everybody learned a lot from that. And we ought to, next time you're back in town, we should run that again and have some people run through it. But what is how do you build a constructive relationship?
Well, I think the first thing everyone needs to understand is understanding the different styles, and to make it simple, we've just kind of broken it down into 3 different categories. We've run into every one of these types of people, and if I make the mistake of saying his, it's really I mean his and her, because it happens on both sides.
That's right.
And that starts to build the case for someone like me, who is referred to as a principled negotiator. But you really look at the 3 different styles. The first one is the gamesman. We've all run into this person. This is a person who loves to win and hates to lose. And this person will do whatever it takes to win, and it's most often done at the expense of someone else in order to get they're after direct gain. And so these are the people that use leverage in a coercive way. These are people who, if they believe they've got the longer stick, will use it to get what they need, and to browbeat, et cetera, et cetera. And they will, like I said, they will try to achieve whatever outcome that they're looking for based at the expense of the other party. Now, the problem with that is, yes, that gamesman who's relying more on the game theory than principled negotiation may get what he wants in the short term. The real goal of a good outcome is to make sure that you've got something that's durable, that's going to last, and that's going to sustain through that agreement. You can get short-term gains, but how many times have we seen things like that have just broken apart because one side was over the other?
Right. It really goes back to that true win-win aspect of it, because you may win, it's winning the battle and losing the war.
That's right.
And it works at it from that side.
Jana and Dan, it's time to take a very short break. You're listening to Action in Business with your host, Action Jana Hoiberg, right here on News Talk 1460 KZNT Radio in Colorado Springs. It's the most success-filled half hour in radio. We'll be right back.